In the April 2008 issue of EGM magazine, the writing team reported that Bungie and Microsoft were working on a new Halo game, LEGO Halo. Sadly for excited fans, EGM is famously known for their April Fool's jokes. But some of the other rumors that they would start through their pranks would at some point come to fruition. But it doesn't seem like that was the case with LEGO Halo. Of course, it just wasn't meant to be. LEGO tends to avoid realistic depictions of guns, especially military ones, leaving it to knockoffs like Bloks, who I'm sure will be quite upset that I just called them a knockoff, to pick up licenses that LEGO simply won't. And so they did. In 2009, Bloks Halo sets were released, although no games have ever been announced. EGM did apparently follow up in their May 2008 issue that it wasn't all a joke, so perhaps they were referring to the upcoming Bloks sets. We may never know. But what if EGM hadn't played a joke completely though? Would a block building Halo game actually be any good? How would it play? Would it be first person, third person? Would there be co-op? The possibilities are endless. Enter the first cancel game reveal of 2017 by P2P Online. Developed by Nspace, which unfortunately closed its doors in 2016, Hagar, as the prototype was known, aimed to take the basic LEGO format and Haloize it. Bloks Halo was worked on from around January or February 2013 through at least November 2013 for the Xbox 360 using the Unreal Engine 3. The very same studio was likely responsible for the Halo DS pitch as well, based on their work on GoldenEye DS and the heavy similarities between those two projects. The footage you are seeing is from the September 2013 build at the absolute earliest, although it may actually be from the November build, so we could be looking at the culmination of Nspace's work on the project. This was considered by the team to be a AAA title, and was developed far beyond a typical pitch that I usually show on this channel. And let me be clear about something right now, I do not own this prototype, and it is a prototype, not a completed game. So don't bother asking for it. Thank you for the anonymous contributor that has allowed me to share with you certain aspects of the game. In the year the game was being worked on, the team managed to, in my opinion, make something that was really quite incredible. The primary vertical slice of gameplay is quite polished, as you would expect for a vertical slice, and represents one campaign mission of the game, with structure to the missions, polished graphics, and of course, fun gameplay. The exact story and scope of the game is currently unknown, but does feature Forerunner architecture. This is the description of the campaign mission itself. Due to reports of increased Covenant forces in the area, you have been deployed to secure a remote base used to monitor a key Forerunner installation. Mid-flight, a swarm of Banshees attacks your Pelican, sending it crashing into the trees below. Navigate the jungle on foot and reach the base. Based on the time period in which the game was being developed, I would have expected to see many elements that appeared in the main series up to 2012's Halo 4 making an appearance here. One thing to note here is that it doesn't seem like the team was aiming to simply recreate the earlier Halo games in block form, as some of the early LEGO titles had. Instead, they seem to be building their own path, quite literally at times. Many of the weapons that you were familiar with in Halo were due to make a comeback. Not all of them have been implemented in this prototype, as you can see by the grayed out weapons in the debug menu, and not all of them work properly, but there is still something incredibly neat about running around with the energy sword in the prototype. Vehicles too would have played a part in the title. Again, not everything is working properly here, and the handling is quite honestly not quite up to that Bungie standard, but the vehicles would have had the ability to be customized. Add a tool like a winch that can be used to pull down a gate here, change up the color of the bricks there, even add some different weapons. The possibilities of customization on your vehicles is huge. Players could swap between two different builds for Master Chief in the prototype, each with a different item or ability to use. One is the standard issue green, which includes a bubble shield item, while the orange model allows for some active camo, allowing you to sneak up on all the enemies. Sound effects and music seem to have been pulled right from the main Halo series as well, giving it the authentic sound that players would expect. It's an odd experience driving around in a block warthog or shooting unsuspecting mini Covenant and hearing the sounds of Halo. Odd, but really I kinda like it. As mentioned earlier, there is only one campaign level in the primary vertical slice. I mentioned before how good the game looked, but look at these environments. Beyond just shooting enemies, the game would have featured platforming action in the 3D world. It would also turn into a sort of 2.5D camera viewpoint, allowing for some more side-to-side platforming action. Players would of course be collecting more and more blocks, allowing them to build vehicles and structures that could be used as defensive cover at certain points of the game. Beyond just picking up blocks that would help lead the player throughout the environments, most things that weren't the environment were destructible, which is always a positive in my opinion. Throughout the mission, players would come up against areas that could not be navigated without building a large structure. To do so, you would first have to find the appropriate blueprint hidden in the world, and only then could you place the pieces you needed to proceed. Like the LEGO games, Mega Bloks Halo would feature some humorous moments, like this one, to help convey the story. And there aren't many things as satisfying as bashing enemies apart. Of course, the secrets of game development sometimes lurk below the surface, and Mega Bloks Halo is no different. It turns out that while this campaign mission would have taken an average player around 45 minutes or a bit more depending on how they're doing on their first go, it wasn't even the entire mission. The mission would have gone on for quite a bit longer, adding another driving segment, a moment where the base was besieged, which I will get to separately in a moment, and ends with a little bit of a puzzle segment where the player must jump on the platforms in the proper order. Beyond the vertical slice, even more was hidden, waiting to be found. Another mostly complete campaign mission is available. This one is far less polished, as can be seen with the noticeable grid pattern overlaid on many textures. Despite this, the level is pretty much equal in length to the other, and it allows the player to experience some more of what the team had in mind. And guess what? It's still fun. In addition to the single-player campaign, work had started on co-op support as well. It was still fairly early here, as you can see, but it is nice knowing that it was already being considered and worked on. At least one more mode was worked on too, that of the Besieged Mode. Like the campaign portion that I briefly mentioned earlier, players would build up their base to defend it from oncoming waves of enemies. As you might expect, the waves get larger and larger as the time goes on, and the enemies get harder and harder. This mode is less polished, but even still it allows you to build walls, mines, and turrets to slow down the enemies, and it can be completed. So why was the game cancelled? Well, to be honest, it's been a bit difficult to find out, mostly due to the fact that the title is a classified title for a huge IP and was being made relatively recently, leading to those that were involved not really being ready to chat a whole lot. As with all cancelled games, there were likely multiple issues that led to its demise. Part of it was certainly a shift away from the Xbox 360 though. With the title being worked on at least until the Xbox One's launch, it is possible that Microsoft simply wasn't that invested in the title, considering it was only being developed for the 360 at the time, and the Xbox One really wasn't selling all that well yet. I think if the title had been developed at least partially on the Xbox One, it may have kept the title alive for a little bit longer, but to me it's clear that Microsoft just wasn't ready to commit to the game as it was. So could we ever see a Mega Bloks or Lego Halo game? On October 5th, 2016, Bonnie Ross, the founder of 343 Industries and current leader of the studio in charge of Halo, said in an interview with Fast Company that 343 doesn't have any plans for expanding the market, worrying about alienating the core Halo audience. She had this to say: "I would say that when we first started the franchise, the thought of doing like a Lego Halo game was not something that our core fans thought was interesting, whereas now we're getting requests for that." Clearly, the thought had previously crossed the minds of everyone over at Microsoft a number of years ago. So it is still possible that we will see a Lego or Mega Bloks Halo game in the somewhat near future, but clearly nothing is set in stone. But with that, the story of Hagar, the Mega Bloks Halo prototype by Nspace, comes to a close. I hope that you enjoyed this look at a huge small title to open up 2017. Developers out there, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm pretty easy to find and would love to chat about this project or just about any other project that deserves to have its story preserved. Our new Patreon supporters are Marcus, Xavier, Shane, and Daryl, whose pledges help me to be able to cover and share titles like this. Do consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/p2ponline. And of course, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and all those usual social things. And the usual YouTube request of hitting that subscribe button. And until next time, thanks for watching. Of course, if you're still bored, I do have some other prototype videos like these that you may enjoy just as much.